Good evening. Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. We have a special guest today all the way from Akron, Ohio. His name is James Raugh, and he was going to be telling us a little bit about this organization, Families Against Fentanyl. After James Raugh's son, Tom, died of fentanyl overdose, Raugh of Akron founded Families Against Fentanyl to try to reduce access to the synthetic opioid that continues to take a toll in lives during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, fentanyl, we know, as President Trump has mentioned in the past, has a large manufacturer into the U.S. through China. China is one of the number one exporters of fentanyl through a company called a Zing drug. I believe it may be Raugh will straighten it out for me on that one, where they are a trafficking organization bringing these drugs here into the United States. And this is the first time that a legal action has been taken against a drug-related crime organization in China by Jim Raugh, and he will tell us a little bit about that in a little bit. This organization was basically started, it was to honor the memory of many victims of this horrible crisis, to sign a petition encouraging the public and the public officials to act now. So what you need to do is visit familiesagainstfentanyl.org, and you can sign their petition if you're against this drug as well. James Raugh is the founder of the Families Against Fentanyl, which is dedicated in fighting against illegally manufactured fentanyl. So right now we're going to welcome James Raugh into our program. Welcome, Jim. How are you doing? I'm going to call you Jim if you don't mind.
That's great, David. It's a real pleasure to be on your show. I really appreciate this exposure and the ability to get this word out to the public, to enable them to keep themselves safe.
Yes. Well, I thank you for joining us here also, Jim. The first thing I'm going to ask you about, I want you to tell us the story of Tom, your son, who came across this drug and unfortunately it ended his life. So if you can tell us about that situation. You can go ahead. Jim, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me, David?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry about that. We lost connection there for a minute. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, I can.
Yes. So I wanted you to share with a little bit of about your son Tom, if you don't mind, in regard to fentanyl. Go ahead.
My son Tom was poisoned with fentanyl. He unknowingly was given acryl fentanyl in a dose that would have killed probably 100 people. So he never even had a chance. He was just being, I think, a guinea pig for a drug dealer that didn't know what he was doing. Or he did know what he was doing, but didn't expect this form of lethality. But my poor son died before he even knew what happened to him, mercifully. The Akron Police Department did a fantastic job in gathering evidence. And ultimately, through the efforts of the DEA, considerable amount of really great governmental work, they were able to track this down to China, to the manufacturers. They're selling it through the dark web. And they got enough evidence to indict them for the murder of my son and another person. So they went to China and put on a case against the Zing drug trafficking organization. And not only did they go after them for their drug manufacturing and sales that were killing thousands of people, but also for money laundering, which was against Chinese law. And the Chinese government sent our boys home without any promises. They did nothing to the Zings. They wouldn't extradite them, and the Zings walked free. And had they sold those drugs to their own people, they would have been executed immediately in public as a example. So the Chinese government is at least tacitly complicit in the manufacture and distribution of these drugs in the United States, as proven by this indictment.
Yes.
And so what I've done since then is filed a civil suit against the Zing drug trafficking organization for wrongful death using a multinational law firm who has done this for us pro bono, and God bless them for that. And this is to, so that's what we're doing right now.
Okay, all right. What are the let me just go into this. What are the facts involving this drug in relation to illegal drug use, and the fact that families and loved ones are being killed by this very dangerous drug? What can you tell us about the facts and the issues surrounded by this fentanyl?
Fentanyl is hundreds of times more powerful than heroin, and carfentanil and its other analogs can be thousands of times more powerful. People unsuspecting they're having this material put into their recreational drugs, everything from Xanax to Percocets. They make these pills that are these pill mills that look exactly like normal material. It's laced into cocaine and into other recreational drugs, and it's taking an amazingly huge toll on our citizenry during the pandemic and throughout time. Our estimates is that there's been close to 590,000 Americans killed by fentanyl, and particularly in the last 10 years.
Wow. You know,
yeah, I have those figures through the CDC.
Yes, very good. Well, we're going to take a short break right now. We'll be right back with you in a moment here on the Black Conservative Voice. We're having Jim Raugh with us today.
To every single mother, every small business owner, every farmer, every cancer survivor, and every woman out there who has ever been put down by the establishment, it's time to stand up. On November 3rd, we need you to write in Ola Hawatma on the ballot under New York 19th Congressional. Make history in the New York 19th District with the first woman to win by a write-in. Don't just vote. Make history on November 3rd, 2020. Write in Ola Hawatma.
Dr. Melinda Morris supports a strong economy, safe neighborhoods, limited property taxes, and promotes an improved education system. Dr. Melinda Morris wants to improve access and insurance coverage for medical care. Dr. Morris is pro-life and will support right-to-life legislation in Austin. Dr. Morris will remain true to her values when she is elected to office. She is going to Austin to promote life, prosperity, and personal freedom for the constituents of Senate District 13.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say something right now, Jim, because I was trying to get you to cover some of this, and I know a lot of times it's hard to get all these information in front of me. Of course, I've been looking at your articles in relation to the lawsuit, and I see also that your son, he had a prescription for oxycodone for tendinitis, and this kind of led to him getting involved in these narcotics. So that is another thing that I think is a very interesting prospect of it. I mean, not prospect, but aspect of it, because this was something he wasn't intending to do, but he got involved through something used to aid in healing or making his body feel better as an athlete or whatever he was trying to do, and it ended up killing him back in 2015. So I would warn people to be very careful about the drugs that you're using that are not legitimate, approved through the FDA as well too. And you had also in your article about professional laborers and their casual use of this drug. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and what you found out in your research?
I'm finding that people who are taking any illicit pill or any non-known source material are being killed by the tens of thousands. These materials are showing up where people are just taking those for their injuries, or they're going out for a good time at night, or they might be going to a card game, or who knows, with the recreational and physical stresses that make somebody want to enjoy themselves a little bit more, take a little bit of pressure off, have some fun. And there's quite a bit of recreational drug use that's been used throughout time. And these people are being just systematically killed. You know, people are going just for study
that's what China goes after anyway. They're trying to destroy us anyway. And I believe that they're funding a lot of these things that are going on in this nation right now. Of course, nobody's talking about that, but they're doing a lot through the Democrat Party. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I believe this is the reverse of the opium war. I believe that they're systematically supplying this material to us. It follows the National Defense University's system called asymmetric warfare. I believe it is asymmetric warfare. I think that they've stockpiled the material in the United States, and I believe that we're in for serious trouble. This material has a great potential as a chemical weapon, and that's why I'm trying to have it named a weapon of mass destruction before there's a first incident.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at right now. You said there's analogs as a weapon of mass destruction, and this would provide, if they would sign this petition, it would provide the federal agencies where they could use and help to stem the use of this flow of this drug into this country as a deadly substance. If we classify it as a weapon that can be used as a mass destructive weapon in this country. Now, I see here, now this is kind of leading on to the same thing we were talking about earlier, and it's like some dealers and manufacturers of synthetic opioids, you say here, are using them to destabilize our society. What do you feel about that? Because I know that mass destruction has a lot to do with that. Would you tell us a little bit about that and how the effect of this drug takes on the global economy?
Oh my goodness! Well, if you look at the total amount of deaths and the way that they're done, that creates a huge amount of grief just directly in the United States, which is an amazing depressant on the economy. That also causes a great loss of morale amongst the people. And as a matter of fact, this material has targeted a generation that happens to be our greatest fighting force. It's the #1 killer of Americans under 50 years old. Is drug overdose, and the leading cause of it is fentanyl. And fentanyl is wiping out all of the men and women that would be in the armed forces without the Chinese even having to fire a shot.
Yes, well, they're not stupid people. I know that. They found a way to get into our society. There's a lot of things going on and around here, and unfortunately, the Democrat Party in this nation are supporting China and trying their best to keep China in the forefront, where our President Trump, is trying to knock all that foolishness down by fighting against that drug coming into this country. Well, we're going to take a short break right now on the Black Conservative Voice, and we'll be right back with you in a moment.
I'm Greg Raths. As a veteran, current council member, local businessman, I know our community. As your congressman, I'll fight to reduce healthcare costs, keep our cities safe, and our communities healthy. Our jobs protected, our economy growing, and our nation defended. Orange County is a wonderful place to live, work, and raise a family, but together we can make it even better.
Vote Greg Raths for Congress.
I'm Greg Raths, and I approve this message.
President Trump made a promise to protect our Social Security and Medicare. He kept that promise, and he always will. Today, Social Security and Medicare are strong, and under President Trump, they will never be cut. President Trump is protecting pre-existing conditions. Prescription drugs are more affordable. The cost of insulin is going down. Under President Trump, our benefits and our health care are safe and secure.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on CTM News Network. We're interviewing Jim Raugh, the head of Families Against Fentanyl. .org. He is, if you're against this drug, please go to his website, familiesagainstfentanyl.org, and please sign that petition. Well, Jim, speaking of statistics, I see here that you mentioned that we already are having issues, of course, with coronavirus. So what are statistics surrounding these, the national statistic around these overdoses and all the lives that are being taken here in this country with fentanyl?
Well, during the coronavirus, our fentanyl overdoses and regular overdoses are up by over 45%. My estimation for during 2020 is, which number is that here? 75,510 deaths from fentanyl estimated for this year, for 2020 already. That's how many people have overdosed, we estimate, on fentanyl from our statistics from the CDC. And remember, that's mostly people under 50. These are our major workers, producers. They're the heart and soul of our future, and I'm trying to stop this from affecting them and their children.
Yeah. Now, you said something about Cuyahoga County, something the medical examiner reported. What did he report? Is that there in Ohio?
Yes, Cuyahoga County is reporting record numbers of overdoses. How many was it now? 41?
Yeah, you have
overdoses.
Here like 68 people.
Yes, 68 people. And this is continuing everywhere. Chicago is seeing more deaths from fentanyl than there is from gun violence.
Wow.
There are more people killed by fentanyl than all the guns in the United States, all the gun deaths, everything. This is already weapon of mass destruction. It's just being dispersed in a very slow way. If somebody uses technology and makes a dispersal of this material in a crowded environment, this will be a major blow to the United States as far as destruction of morale, safety, confidence. This would be a terrible blow. And I'm trying to stop this before this happens.
Yes. Yes, and we do appreciate you taking an interest in this stuff, of course, through personal experience. But, of course, there's a lot of things going on. There's issues right now that are being discussed in our Congress and in the government involving mental health issues. A lot of these people get involved with drugs as well, and things like fentanyl and illegal illicit drugs. A lot of people with mental health issues have those problems as well. And a lot of people have not brought this up, but we see that even with this gentleman, George Floyd, who they tried to identify with police brutality, even he was proven to be high on fentanyl at the time of his death. Now, I don't know what exactly killed him, but I'll leave that up to the authorities to look at that. But according to the autopsy, fentanyl played a part in his death as well. So we need to, as the American people, for one thing, get off illicit drugs. And there's a lot of that going on in our colleges and in our neighborhoods around the country. Illegal drug use is rampant in this country. Unfortunately, I'm not saying it's not in the other countries, but here in this country, it is very rampant. So as we take our last break here in a moment, I just want to just ask people, this is just a statement I want to make, that you will get out to the polls in this November and vote Republican. That's the way I feel. we need to vote for our conservative Republican candidates so that we can cut out a lot of this ignoring of these types of things like fentanyl use, allowing these things to come into our borders and just ignoring it like it doesn't exist. We appreciate what President Trump is doing involving this issue regarding fentanyl. He says he's going after it, and I believe our president, who has stuck by his word from the very beginning as he began his term back in 2016, will continue to stand by what he is going to do, even involving this drug that's imported here to destroy our country and its young people by China through the drug fentanyl. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back with you in a moment here on the Black Conservative Voice. I'm David Colbert.
A Joe Biden jamás le importó Puerto Rico. Biden nos quitó la 936 y envió nuestros trabajos para China con quien guisa su hijo talentoso. Y ahora nos quiere hacer lo mismo aquí. Aumentos de impuestos y mano floja con el crimen. Trump está limpiando el reguero de Biden mientras devuelve las farmacéuticas a la isla y alza la economía. Estamos aquí para echar pa'lante. Y Joe Biden es la incompetencia que dejamos atrás.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. We're having an interview with James Raugh. He is the, what do you call him, the president and founder of FamiliesAgainstFentanyl.org. Now, Jim, I'm going to give you this one last opportunity before we close to tell us more about your organization and why you are doing this petition to present to whoever. I'm not sure who you present it to get some action taken. So if you want to tell us about that.
I'd like to direct my action towards the president right now. I think he has the legal authority to write an executive order naming fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction. And I think that would be a very bold and outright move for him that would definitely get him a lot of votes and a lot of support. I think there are a lot of affected people. I know a lot of people that have died from fentanyl, and I don't know as many people who have died from the coronavirus because it's been going on for so much time. Yeah. And it's going to continue unless we do something to stop it. And by naming it a weapon of mass destruction, it gives us so many legal powers to actually stop the material at its source, at our borders, in our streets, everything. It gives us the real ability to take this out of our lexicon. We can deal with a drug battle and addiction. We can't deal with this chemical warfare that's being launched against us.
Yes. Well, once again, Jim, I want to thank you for joining us here. And as I said earlier, go to FamiliesAgainstFentanyl.org and please sign a petition to get this classified as a weapon of mass destruction. And also, I want to thank each and every one for joining us here on the Black Conservative Voice. And until next time, this is David Colbert saying good night and God bless.
Do you care about Black lives? I do. And unlike the people that currently run Baltimore, I actually have a plan to make life better for Black people here. Walk with me. I want you to see this. I'm Kim Klasick. This is Baltimore, the real Baltimore. This city was once among the most prosperous, populated, and powerful cities in America. So what happened? Our leaders abandoned us and Baltimore fell into ruin. But it doesn't have to be this way. None of this has to be this way. A broken Baltimore does not have to be our future. And that's why I'm running for Congress, because I see the city differently.
I walk the streets of Baltimore and see what could be. I want you to see what I see. I see Baltimore that picks up trash. There are piles of garbage all around Baltimore. It makes life unsafe for our families. I'll work with city leaders to get Baltimore's Solid Waste Bureau the resources it needs to take out the trash.
Our streets should be a reflection of our leaders. Clean, not dirty.
Much of our trash gathers in abandoned homes. There are over 17,000 abandoned buildings in Baltimore. They are a scar on the face of our city. I will support tax credits and incentive programs to give residents a chance to buy and rehabilitate these homes. Everyone deserves a safe community and a chance at home ownership. Let's put the charm back in Charm City. Who will live in these homes? The newly employed constituents of Baltimore City. This district needs more jobs. The best way to get them is by having businesses invest in our community. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act gives federal tax incentive to drive private investment into opportunity zones just like Baltimore. Who will work in all of these new jobs if we don't have an educated workforce? 9 out of 10 black boys in Baltimore are not reading at grade level. Over a dozen high schools in Baltimore have zero, yes, zero, students proficient in math. This is a tragedy. We can end the school to prison pipeline with school choice, providing parents with options to escape schools that do not serve our children.
Let's leave Baltimore better for our kids. Isn't that the point? That's my vision for Baltimore. The corrupt leaders hate it. They attack me for taking a stand, for wanting better for our people, our children, our communities. But I'm not the only one who wants better.
Tens of millions of you have shared the struggle of black people in Baltimore. You lifted our voices. You cared about our black lives more than our own Democrat leaders. They have done nothing for us. Now they can't hide. It's time for change. We are that change.
I'm Kim Klacik, and I'm running for Congress because I actually care about black lives. All black lives matter. Our communities matter. We matter. And Baltimore doesn't have to vote Democrat.